Have you ever wondered why it's so difficult and expensive to pay employees? It should be straightforward, right? You hire someone, they take home a salary at the end of the month. But the reality is that it's anything but straightforward. There are middlemen taking a cut at every stage of the process, from payroll processing to foreign exchange fees. And governments love this system because it takes all the expensive, complex work of collecting taxes and puts it on you and your company. In fact, companies spend nearly $100 billion on paying their workers, according to a study by Research and Markets. No, that's not including salary. $100 billion just on the systems that we use to pay people. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why are we spending all this money and time on systems that don't scale and have a vested interest in remaining slow and complex? Well, what if I told you that this way of doing things is a house of cards, and in just a few years, it's going to come crashing down? Because by 2030, payroll as we know it will be obsolete.
Obsolete.
Obsolete. Obsolete.
Obsolete.
You heard that right. Payroll is transforming, and it's going to be replaced by something new. The old way of doing things, laborious, risky, and expensive, is being swept away before our very eyes. Stunning advances in technology are combining to transform the way we pay employees, run businesses, and collect taxes. Everything from data validation to journal entry creation can now be automated, freeing up payroll professionals to do more strategic and creative work. But what does that actually mean for CFOs, finance teams, and payroll professionals? Well, get ready to forget everything you think you know about payroll. If you want to know what tools and knowledge you need to be prepared, you're in luck. Here's Einat Gez, one of the world's leading experts on payroll and payments and the CEO and co-founder of Papaya Global. She's going to explain why payroll will be unrecognizable by 2030 and what that means for companies, governments, workers, and you. Over to Jessica and Einat.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, Einat. Thanks for joining us. So, the whole concept of payroll, should it really be gone?
I think so, yes. The absurdity of the process is something that we take for granted and we got used to. I mean, I want to hire someone, they want to work for my company. Why the cost of hiring them and the cost of eventually paying them needs to be so expensive in order to process? And I think it got to a place where people don't understand how expensive it is. Running a payroll cycle these days cost to any organization between $100 to $200 per employee per pay cycle. Generally, currently, 25% of the pay cycle will be going through a rerun or repay for employees. You are running a cycle, but then a quarter of the cycle you're going to rerun again, so the cost of running it, the time and the effort is actually much higher than you think. This is quite a lot of money that you spend just in order to pay your employees that you need in order to generate business.
So what needs to change?
We need to rethink, we need to understand how we got into a place where paying someone, which is a positive thing, right, becomes such a complicated and lengthy process within this kind of the whole infrastructure. So when we're looking currently on the payroll department, I think that's probably the one department that stayed behind within all of the digital transformation that the organization kind of went through. And I think that this is the right time for technology to knock on the payroll kind of manager door and step in to a place where their work is becoming from 90% bureaucracy, collecting data, to a place where 90% of their work is actually becoming strategic work, that the data works for them. Technology is doing all of these data collections and validation for them, and they're the ones that are looking on the process.
Right, so instead of being a slave to the data, let the data serve them better.
Yes, and I think the technology is the key here. So adopting technology, bringing technology in order to assure that they can really stop doing all of those manual processes that some other departments stopped doing years ago.
So is there a risk that this technology could replace the human touch on payroll?
No, we're not replacing doctors with technology, we're not replacing lawyers with technology, we're not replacing our tax experts with technologies. Actually, there is a huge opportunity here for payroll experts to become experts and not technicians of the payroll. And when they will be able to do so, they will become a key player on the business decision-making of the organization.
So take us forward in time. what will the world of payroll and payments look like in 5 to 8 years?
Generally speaking, in 5 years' time, I think that payroll needs to be the center and the heart of the organization, okay? This is the place where employees and employers meet, and all of the financial decisions that are relevant for both parties are actually being processed, okay? The payroll department can become your financial advisor and eventually your customized financial advisor. Currently, organizations are spending a lot of money and a lot of thinking of how they bringing a better wellness and benefits to their employees' life. And payroll can become the most important thing here because obviously the aspect of payroll on every single thing that the employee needs is very, very critical. So payroll in general, but I would say also the payroll manager can be the person who leads this.
So it sounds like we're democratizing payroll and giving more empowerment to the global payroll manager, but also to the employees they serve.
I can definitely agree with what you were saying, and I think it's very similar to the banking revolution. Like 10 years ago, bank would just be a place where you are eventually depositing money, withdrawing money, and that's it. It was very, very technical. Now when you are stepping into a bank, this is a whole world of possibilities of savings, of loans, of investments, and so on. You expect your banker to have a relationship with you that is actually empowering you and not just eventually kind of very technical. And this is exactly the revolution that payroll can bring into the organizations. This can be a place where it's the center of the organization, where employees are actually making their financial decisions based on their payroll, based on their future earning, and not only the current earning, because this is what payrolls enables them to take better decisions and actually to create better financial wellness.
So how do we get there? What's the right way to implement the technology we need to get there?
This is starting currently from assuring that we collect the data in a way that enable us to work with the data. Currently, organizations are just processing funds, one single line to your bank account. They don't ask you, do you want to save more? Maybe do you need currently more money on future kind of earnings and so on. So I think that the way that together is really starting designing this customization and personalization. We already have the ability to connect data points in the organization, your earnings from your contract to the future earnings per the compliance and liabilities. Then on top of it, we can build and eventually add the financial kind of wellness a layer that is related to the individuals.
I'm curious what kind of other subsequent outcomes might come for an organization that's able to pull this off.
Generally speaking, I think that organization that will adopt flexibility in payment and in payroll to their employees and will adopt customization in payroll to employees will just become a better employer and a better employer of choice for employees. So, you know, we are all competing for talent globally. And I think that this is another great example to just bring talents and kind of employees that really are good advocates for the organization for a long time.
So what's the right way for a company to implement this vision and get to that future state?
First decision. You need to decide that you want to bring technology into your payroll department, and then you need to follow 3 key elements. First, you need to choose technology that is quick to implement. You need to choose a technology that you can really bring a change to the organization within 12 months period. I don't think that choosing something to the course of 5 years will actually last. I think that it's very hard to see the ROI, and moreover, it's very hard to get the organization engaged to a 5 years change.
It falls in line with commitment. You're going to commit to this transformation.
I think 5 years is just not a realistic time period.
Yeah.
So quick to implement is one. Second is flexibility. Technology that actually can adapt and connect to everything that you have in the organization. We see a lot of technology that is limited in this industry. We can connect to this, but we can connect to that. In order to connect everything, you will need to do quite a lot of adaptation. Technology today is flexible. You need to assure that you are creating and bringing in technology that actually can work for you and is very, very flexible within your data sources and within the flow that you have. And the third is eventually choose technology that can take you from the beginning to the end of the process. So if you have data collections, data validation, and payments, assure that you are covering it all within one tool and one technology. So you don't break it, so you keep consistency, so you can really see the outputs, the report, the big picture, because everything connects and connects all of the dots together.
Payroll is not going away. It's just going away as we knew it.
Yes, that's correct. And I think that eventually looking on payroll and try to eventually fall in love in payroll and see the opportunities that you have in payroll, this is the right way to start kind of looking on your future payroll, because you have opportunities in empowering the organization, you have opportunities in taking better business decisions, and you have opportunities in managing it in a way that it's not becoming so painful in the ongoing process. So generally speaking, I think that if we will achieve all of this, and maybe also we will get the help of compliance being a bit more scalable and government making it a bit more unified, we will get into a place or to a world where payroll is really becoming our key to success, our enabler, and a key to the relationship to the organization with their employees.
Do you see more changes ahead as technology may impact the way governments manage the regulations on payroll?
I think government needs to look at this as an opportunity as well. And if they're going to look at eventually technology as an opportunity from their side, if they're going to think about payroll as a scalable process from the government level, I think there are lots of opportunities also on the country level. Generally speaking, we all want to know that we are all paying taxes and we are all kind of utilizing those taxes for a future kind of good, right? For education, for roads, for hospitals. And if government will currently look on payroll as an opportunity here, we look of how they are implementing the regulation, the compliance, but thinking on a structure of big data, assuring that they bring AI in to help to just facilitate this. I think that every single person should be able to understand compliance and regulation. This is an AI kind of an opportunity that government can embrace and bring in.
So it's a win for the government, a win for the employer, a win for the employee.
Win for the country.
Thanks, Einat. And thank you for joining us today.